Adonai kol haaretz shiru l'Adonai shir chadash shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
And Shabbat Shalom to those of you watching on Facebook. It is wonderful to have you here and to have you there, which is also here. And so for those on Facebook right now, Stephen Blick is pinning our handout at the top of that Facebook feed. And I am Rabbi Rachel here with Dr. Artie Gummer. Stephen Blick is working the cameras, and our president, Robert Wittenstein, is doing all the things, I think, being wonderful as he always is. Friends, throughout our service, we ask that you please keep your masks covering your mouth and covering your nose. We're being protected at the moment with the plexiglass. Because you're here in person, and I saw some of you already doing it, please make sure that your cell phones and Apple Watches and all like that have been put into a silent mode. Friends who are on Facebook, please go ahead and start wishing one another a Shabbat Shalom. Friends who are here, please know that our exits are right behind the Cohen family and right at our front door. So, also, last thing for friends online, I'll be calling out page numbers here, which are going to be Mishkan Tefillah. Those of you online, if you're reading off the service that's been pinned, it's just one prayer after the other. Mazel Tov is due to the Menace family as Sarah Menace becomes Bat Mitzvah tomorrow morning. Shall we hit it back with a little Shiru l'Adonai?
That'd be good.
All right.
Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
Friends who are here directly in this space, I invite you especially to get perhaps 2 feet on the floor, whatever is comfortable. And those of you at home, please do the same. And no matter where you are, feel how wonderful the space around you is right at this moment. Whether you're here, out on the terrace, at home, on a patio, in the kitchen, cooking up a mean Shabbat dinner. Wherever you are, you're in the right place. So friends, let us enter that place with a few deep breaths. Together we take a deep breath in, let it out. Next breath, we're working on really feeling present in the space. Deep breath in, let it out. This final breath, we enter Shabbat. Deep breath in and let it out. You can flutter your eyes open. I invite you to turn to page 120 for our candle lighting. Friends, please note on Facebook that you will have the chance to see Sarah Minnis and her family live right there with you. So, friends, page 120, please rise.
We're not supposed to be unmuted. Okay. Can you move my? Can you move it? My clip it back. You can't see us. Turn on her. I got here, guys. Turn on me.
And we'll welcome in the light and the love and the warmth. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kinishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlikner shel Shabbat. Please be seated. We welcome our Sabbath angels who are checking in on us, making sure we're doing a little something for Shabbat. So Shalom Aleichem, page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi-Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi-Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi-Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi-Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Friends, tonight I normally, in an introduction to the Charodi, talk about looking for that Sabbath angel, we already did that, for the Sabbath bride to join us, to come and to be with us. And it's the men out in Sfat and the women out in Sfat running through the field trying to greet that Sabbath bride. And, did I say that right? Yeah, Sabbath bride. And so, friends, though, tonight, because our view is of a beautiful, I'll call it a forest, it's probably the woods, a beautiful forest, as we sing and pray these words of Lecharodi, just imagine the most beautiful things that you can coming towards you out of that forest. Lecharodi, page 138. Lecharodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecharodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibor echad, Emanu-El Ham-Yuchad, Adonai echad, U'shmo echad, V'shem u'tiferet v'chitila. Lecharodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Lecharodi, Likrat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Nekabela. Likrat Shabbat, L'chu v'nercha, Ki hi mekor ha'be'acha, Lerosh mikerem mizuka, Sof ma'aseh v'machshavat techila. Lecharodi, לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
Friends will rise and face the entrance of your home.
בואי בשלום עטרת בלה פעם בשמחה וצחלה תוך אמוני הסגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
We turn to page 146, having had the pleasure of warming up those prayer muscles with Artie's fabulous guitaring. And now it is the time to formally enter our service with Baruch Hu.
La 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. ברכו את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד המבורך לעולם ועד.
Friends, throughout this service, we will watch as the night rolls in. Ariva Aravim roll into dark, not found in your prayer books.
Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night.
That
Roll into dark,
repeats.
roll into dark, roll into light, roll into light. Night becomes day, day becomes day, day turns to night. Borei yom v'layla, kolel or mifnei choshen, kolel or mifnei choshen, v'choshen mifnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light, night becomes day, day turns to night.
We feel our feet on the floor, perhaps shuddering, our eyes closed. We declare God's oneness. Words of Shema, page 152.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. Tonight, as we prepare for Ve'ahavta, what we'll be doing together is we'll have the chance to chant Ve'ahavta in the Hebrew, and then we're going to sing the translation. Now, for those of you with the prayer books, the translation isn't exactly what's in your prayer book, but I think you'll catch on pretty quickly. And the reason to do this, number one, also, shout out to our Hebrew 101, Aleph Bet 101 folks who are here joining us, who learned the Aleph Bet and the vowels for the first time or as a serious refresher. And I see you all following along with your pointer fingers. Very excellent. A+. I'll report back to your teacher. And the reason I point that out is because sometimes, a lot of the time, we go through our prayers and we often say them in Hebrew. And we know like the essence of what they mean, but sometimes we forget to take the time to go back to their core meaning. And so that's what we have the chance to do tonight as we both chant and translate through song words of Ve'ahavta. Page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha v'derech u'shochbecha uvkumecha Ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha, uvisharecha, leman tizkeru, va'asitem et kol mitzvotai, v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim, lihiot lachem le'elohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem, emet.
And you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And all these words which I command you on this day shall be in your heart, shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall speak of them when you're sitting in your house, when you're walking by the way, and when you're lying down, and when you're rising up, and when you're rising up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, shall be for frontlet between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, and upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
On page 158, we have words of Micha Mocha, which begin, who is like you, O God, among the gods that are worshipped? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, awesome in splendor, working wonders? And I'm just realizing that this is where I got this little thing that I do with Zohara, where she has these like silks, okay? Silk playthings. And I put it over our heads, and I say, are you majestic in holiness? And she gets really quiet, and she knows it's like this special space. And in these words of Micha Mocha, when we're calling out to God as majestic in holiness, I think each of us have that opportunity to create your little silk covering, and to have that moment, even as energetic as it's about to be, to feel God with you.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la ya la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha Mocha neder b'kodesh, Norah tehilot osei feleh, Norah tehilot osei feleh. מלכותך ראו בניך, תוקע יום לפני משה. זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מיכה מוכה באלים אדוני, מיכה מוכה נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושי פלא, נורא תהילות עושי פלא. נורא תהילות עושי פלא.
Page 160, we have words of Hashkivenu. And we've sort of been on an arc through our service, building up energy. And now that arc begins to sort of go down the other way. And with that, we have a chance to let our own energy shift in the service, to continue imagining what it means for God to be majestic in holiness, especially as a Sukkot Shalom, as a shelter of peace. Hashkivenu, page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrei, l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrei, l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomrei, l'chaim. Hashkidenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim U'shmor Tzetzeinu U'voeinu L'Chaim U'Shalom Ve'ata B'yad Olam Hashkidenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim Hashkidenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom V'hamidenu Shomreinu L'Chaim.
The Shamru, page 162, our prayer for Shabbat, our reminder to hear the birds that are chirping, a reminder to just sit back and relax and be present for those 25 special hours that God has said, make them special, make them holy, make them sacred. And we'll all do that in our own ways. The ways we observe Shabbat in our home don't have to be the same. The piece that I ask is that even if it's just for a moment, that you always find that one moment within 25 hours to recognize that it is Shabbat. The Shamru, page 162.
V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat La'asot et ha-Shabbat לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת שבת וינפש שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם אותי לעולם אותי לעולם.
So I'm not sure that this happens in every family, but I'm going to go with it, and it probably happens in most, that you grew up with a parent or grandparents who always had these one-liners for your behavior. It was, treat others the way you want to be treated. What's popular isn't always right, and what's right isn't always popular. Those sorts of little messages, you get the idea. Well, in this week's Torah portion, Parshat Acharei Mot Kedoshim, we should feel some familiarity with its style, as many of the commandments in this portion hold those one-liners that we remember. You shall be holy, for I, Adonai, your God, am holy. Keep my Sabbath holy. Don't insult the deaf or place a stumbling block before the blind. And every year, I read this portion. And every year, something new catches my eye based on what's going on in the world. And this year, It was the commandment, don't insult the deaf or place a stumbling block before the blind. Now, meant to be a metaphor, the latter part of this commandment is about avoiding unnecessary barriers for those who may already be at a disadvantage, that the strong should not afflict the weaker. And when I hit this verse this year, all I could think about was this interview that I had recently heard on the radio. I was driving somewhere, listening to NPR, and I caught a story that spoke about the problems that faced disadvantaged communities when it came to receiving COVID-19 vaccines. And as I listened, I heard the interviewee tell the host that in the city of Philadelphia, which is 40% of the residents are Black, but they only accounted for 20% of those being vaccinated, getting vaccinated. And so there are those who have hypothesized that the reason for the low turnout is that this community and other communities of color just don't want to get the vaccine. But in this case, this opinion is missing the bigger picture. Holding this opinion means that one did not see the stumbling blocks that were preventing this community from being vaccinated. And with a disproportionate number of Black and Hispanic residents employed as essential workers, there are all kinds of stumbling blocks keeping them from receiving a COVID-19 vaccine. For these essential workers, their work schedules don't align with appointment availability, or they are unable to access a site due to a lack of transportation. Others in the community are overwhelmed by trying to navigate the websites, and that's for those who even have access to reliable internet. I even read a piece where one of the women, she had to wait till next month because she'd already used up all her data on her phone, and that was her only line to the internet. And so after noticing these issues, albeit not as early as folks would have liked, city officials began to understand that the stumbling blocks that they needed to remove so that those communities who were hit the hardest by the pandemic, both financially and physically, so that these communities could have equitable access to vaccines. So this is what happened in Philadelphia. City officials, they sent FEMA to open a clinic in the heart of downtown, where previously no location had existed. And not only did the city set up the site in an underserved community, they also set up free shuttles to run from the nearest subway station. And for a number of days, they allowed for and encouraged walk-ins, no appointment needed. And I think we all know what happened next. With the stumbling blocks removed, vaccination rates greatly increased. But here's the catch. And this actually wasn't in the NPR story. Had I stopped my research there, I would have done myself and all of us a disservice because the happy ending isn't quite as happy as we would like it to be. That's because I went on to learn that although the vaccination rates of people of color significantly increased, so did the number of white people receiving the vaccines, which actually meant that the equity gap grew between white individuals and people of color receiving the vaccine. Most notably, the initial phase of vaccine distribution has been predominantly limited to large healthcare systems and chain pharmacies, which are significantly less prevalent in majority Black communities. I caught this opinion piece from the Washington Post, which it noted that while locating vaccination sites in Black communities is absolutely necessary, it is insufficient given the lack of internet access or digital literacy and the pervasiveness of medical mistrust as a consequence of historic and present-day racism. Black communities need easily accessible and trusted points of access to the vaccine, such as community centers, faith-based organizations, schools, and mobile vaccination units that are run by credible and trustworthy community-based organizations. To that end, Temple Emanu-El is proud to be a new vaccine site location, and it is our hope that all will feel welcomed in our building as a safe, trusted, and sacred space. And although we aren't located directly in the heart of an underserved area, we know that these communities are our neighbors. They are just down the street. The same communities served by the Community Assistance Center, less than 3 miles away from right here. And so, friends, it is my prayer that we fulfill the call to not place stumbling blocks before the blind, and that we take it a step further, actually. And when we see that the stumbling blocks are there, we work to remove them. We must look out for and care for one another. An increased vaccination rate may help to keep us from sickness, but it will not fix the many broken pieces of our world. But remember, each of us is holy, for we are endowed with that holy spark of the divine, of God. So let us be a holy people who continues the sacred work of bettering our world. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Our service continues with Avot V'Imah, or not Avot V'Imah, we'll get there, but the Amidah, which starts with Adonai Sefatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Please, God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Please rise, page 166.
Adonai, Sfatai Tita. Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai. Sfatai Tita. Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha. Adonai. Sfatai Tita. Ufi Yagi Tehilatecha.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham V'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav L'Hoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechaye HaKol B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Micha Mocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit, Umechayem, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye hakol. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. You take a few moments for silent prayer and meditation. And when you have completed your prayers, I invite you to please be seated.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leholam.
Page 178.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leholam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leholam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leholam. Ki atahu melech adon lekol hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lekol hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leholam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leholam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael v'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leholam. 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 Tasim Leholam. Tasim Leholam.
Friends, we'll take a very big turn to page 570 so that we can count the Omer. We are still in the midst of the Omer, heading towards the holiday of Shavuot. So on page 570, if you'd like, I invite you to please join with me. Hineni mutzan umezuman lekayem mitzvat aseh shel sfirat ha-omer. In English, I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha-omer. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. Don't worry, I've got it. You don't have to know it. So the Omer, today is the 27th day, which is 3 weeks and 6 days of the Omer. That's Hayom Shiva V'Esrim Yom Shehem Shlosha Shavuot V'Shisha Yamim La Omer. You have participated in the counting of the Omer. Thank you so much. And with that, it is my pleasure to pass the mic, if you will, to Temple Emanu-El Board President Robert Wittenstein. you want to stand right where I was?
No, I'm going to stand over here.
Will it get you? Will the camera get you?
Yes, Stephen and I have worked this out.
Oh, perfect.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. It's wonderful to see you. It is also wonderful to be out here on our beautiful chapel terrace. One of the wonderful things that happened this week is that they poured the concrete for the patio underneath where we are praying. So when it is too warm or too sunny for us to be up here, we now have a space in the shade underneath, which will be another space we can use outside while we are all still getting acclimated to being together. Let me also point out that services now, from this point forward, are rain or shine. We're limiting the number of people who we allow to sign up so that if we have inclement weather, we have plenty of space in the sanctuary with everybody spread apart. So if you want to come to services and you aren't sure about the weather, just know that rain or shine, we will be here and praying together in person, and also we'll be praying online. One note, actually two notes. To piggyback on what Rabbi Rachel was saying about removing stumbling blocks, one of the things you should know that we worked hard at was that as we became a vaccination site, we wanted to offer Sunday hours in our effort to give people who might not be available 9 to 5 Monday through Friday a chance to get a vaccine without having to go down to Mercedes-Benz. So we are working hard at helping to remove all of these barriers. If you would like to be a volunteer, we are looking for people to help us check people in and direct them and keep track of where people are and, sort of keep an eye on people who've had the vaccine and are in that 15 minutes where they're waiting to see if they've had allergic reactions. We would love for you to sign up. There is a link on our website where you can sign up. You do have to go through some CDC training before you can sign up, but there's a link for that as well, and we would love to have you help us help the community in this way. Final announcement, this coming Sunday at 9 a.m. is the Temple Emanu-El annual meeting. It's online, it's on Zoom. You should have gotten way more reminders than you need or want, but I do encourage you to join us. I would say it's going to be fascinating, but you really got to be in the mood to go through an annual meeting, but it will be informative, and I would encourage you to participate. And with that, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Robert. So friends, one of my favorite parts of the service, our Shehechianu moments, the chance to share the good things that are going on in our lives. And so for those of you who are online, please start putting those wonderful things going on in your life right into the Facebook feed. Bar and Bat Mitzvah students, this is your chance to let us know that you are here. Share your name with everybody and tell everyone what's good in your life. So for those who are here, what's good? Yes.
My name is Jenna Cohen. Something good right now is
on your math test.
no. Okay, I got a 99 on a math test.
Ooh, 90% on a math test.
99.
99, even better. Well done. Well done. That's great. Anybody else have something great that happened to them this week? Birthday, anniversary, you like the person you're hanging out with?
I turned 51 and got a fantastic phone call from a wonderful rabbi.
Thank you. Michael Schulman turned 50. 51. Okay, 51, yes. Artie, how about you?
So I'm seeing very happily a real turn in the acceptance of the vaccine from what I do other than the times that I'm here. And a lot of people are wanting it and getting it, and there's, I think, a lot less fear of it. And whereas a few weeks ago, a lot of people would have said, not interested in getting it, now it's very rare for me to hear somebody say they don't want to get it. And I see a fairly rapid return to a more normal life.
Thank you. Thank you. For me, our weekly Zohara update is due. She crawled for the first, like real crawl, for the first time today. Very exciting, and she's just over 3 months post-op, so we couldn't be more thrilled, and she is doing great. So for all of these wonderful things going on in our lives, we join together in Shechianu, which, if you want the words, they're on page 648.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Friends, we're there to share the good, and we're there to share the things that need a little more help. When we know that a family member or friend is struggling, whether it's a struggle of relationship, struggle of mental health, physical health, spiritual health, we are here for them. We are here for you. And in our community, we pray words of Misha Berach because even if that direct line doesn't come back to us in exactly the way we wanted, we know that we've been supported and surrounded by community when we go through hard times. Temple Emanu-El is especially thinking of David Lombroso, Brett Samsky, Meir Ben Rachmiel Vedina, Gloria Lappin, Andy Rush, Yeda Bat Yosef Lev Miriam, Steve Backman, Judith Sinna, Lisa Solonik, Chet Parver, Hannah Hazen, Elaine Alexander, Edgar Mixon, Gabrielle Ben Alisheva Khana, Mark Wilcox. If you are praying for the healing of somebody in our community, I invite you to share their name as my eyes meet yours. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We rise for words of Misha Berach, page 371 in the middle of the page.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha Berach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We remain standing for Kiddush, page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu.
That's okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam vorei peri hagafen.
Happens to me all the time.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava u'ratzon kinchilanu zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת, מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון, חינכתנו. Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. And friends, it's one of the things that I am most looking forward to is when we will have the chance, and it is safe to invite all of those kids to put those icky little fingers on all of the little Kiddush cups, and then come up with us for Aleinu L'Shabech. These are the things that perhaps we dream of these days, at least I do. And so with that in mind, we imagine all of the little kids of Temple Emanu-El coming up with us for Aleinu L'Shabech, page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוסף ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו ככם, וגורלנו ככל המונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר בחיי אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. As we begin to conclude our service, we recall the lives and the memories of those that we've loved. And in the recitation of Kaddish Tom, of Mourner's Kaddish, we bring honor to them, honor to their souls, honor to their memories. Temple Emanu-El is in a period of Shloshim for Norman Siegel, Carolyn Brody, Marley Silverstein Rogers. And on this Shabbat, we observe the art sites for Joseph Anton, Morris Cantor, Rita Chaliff, there we go, Rita Chaliff, Isidore Diz Cohen, Charlotte Engstrom, Irene Figelis, Jack Figelis, Seymour Friedman, Louis Goldberg, Mildred Goldberg, Nathaniel Goldman, Marlene Gross, Rosalind Kessler, Debbie Lapidus, Maxwell Levine, Maurice Levy, Jay Meiselman, Harry Mintzner, Howard Oppenheimer, Ben Plocker, Lawrence Propp, Sarah Propp, Stuart Renbaum, Gus Rosen, Anne Rosenberg, Bella Rosner, Jean Rubin, Edward Siegel, Benjamin Sherman, Irving Silver, Elise Stern, Gertrude Weiner. If you are in the first 30 days mourning the loss of a loved one, I invite you to rise in your place. If on this Shabbat you are if you are in the first year of mourning, Yud Bet, the death of a loved one, I invite you to please rise in your place. And if on this Shabbat you are commemorating the death anniversary of a loved one, I invite you to please rise in your place. And if it is your custom to rise for Kaddish Tom, for Mourner's Kaddish, as it is here at Temple Emanu-El, I invite you to do so now We join together, page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'omei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yit'alal shmei kudusha b'richu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, b'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Osei shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
Ose shalom, shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Ose shalom, shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, amen. Oseh shalom, shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael, amen.
Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
That concludes our service.